Guys, so this is going to be a quite a lengthy video just describing and showing the new activity flow and how it works with your coaching dashboard and reviewing activities and what the actual entrepreneurs will see. So on the screen I've got a view of a logged in entrepreneur and I'm on an activity here, and then I'll switch to a view which will show the actual coaching dashboard which I've built for you guys. So first up, we're an entrepreneur, and the first thing an entrepreneur will do is complete an activity. I've got a random YouTube link here, and they submit it. And this is not very different from what they were doing in the previous presentation. And so they submit it, and it's submitted. So there it says awaiting feedback. They can see the link that they've submitted, and they can also remove and resubmit if they want. And now the view that you'll get as a coach. So now we've built this coaching dashboard, which is just at startupschool.ac/coach-dashboard. You can now see that all the submitted activities are here, and you can see the one that I've just submitted, which is here. The submission date is 22nd of August, which is today. There's no feedback that has been given. The status is that it has been submitted. There's no open response from the entrepreneur yet, and you can just click here to review. Just to note, on this dashboard you can filter by presentation, so you can go back and view the presentation 1, presentation 2, and you can filter by coach. I know that I've attributed Jackie to my test user, so I can click on Jackie. It will then reload the page and show only the entrepreneurs that are relevant to presentation 2 and Jackie, which is Nabila and myself currently. You can also filter, so I can actually filter the list of activities by reflection, and then I can also go back to all activities. I can also filter by week, by feedback, so if you want to go to the ones that just don't have feedback, you can filter there. You can also filter multiple things, so I can filter feedback and status, so filter status submitted, and also filter response. You can also just search out, so if you wanted to quickly dive into ones that have activities that are for Chris, you can just search it there. But yeah, there's a lot of functionality here, and it just is going to make it really easy to find the activities that you need to provide feedback for, respond to responses, or reviews. So you don't need to, for any feedback, you don't go into the grading area of Sensei. You would come here. And then, so now I've found that this is the one I need to provide feedback for, so I click review. It'll open in a new window, and it will open the activity review. So now this is the activity review page which we've built for you guys. So you can see the activity. It's an activity review for Chris Muller, the actual title of the activity, the week it relates to, and here are all the options which we provided for you guys. So, and I'll go through these in detail now. Just on the right hand side you can see that there's no model answer for this activity yet. If you wanted to add one, you could just click on the link provided. It'll open in a new screen and go directly to the edit for the lesson. So now I'm in the lesson here, and I can find the model answer area, which is here, and add this is a model answer, and update the activity, and the activity will update. Go back to review activity. If I now click refresh, you can see that the model answer I provided in the lesson is now available there. So now going into the actual activity review, you can see that I've already added feedback here, and I said this feedback is not complete because now this is an extra step. You can actually write in feedback without submitting it to the entrepreneur yet. And this is really important because previously you guys wanted the notes, but now this takes care of that. So you can actually add an incomplete feedback and then come back to it, but the feedback will still be marked as unsubmitted. So even though this feedback exists, the entrepreneur can still see it. He's awaiting feedback. And to actually send this feedback to the entrepreneur, you just click feedback complete and then save the activity review. And once that's saved, I can then go back to the entrepreneur view and refresh the page. And now you can see that it now changes the view of the entrepreneur. They can now see a summary where the activity has been submitted, the activity has been given feedback, and they can still see the link, and they can still remove and resubmit files. So it's important here that this remove and resubmit file will be here until you complete the activity. So there's different statuses, and which I'll put into a matrix for you guys, but submitted with feedback given means that they can still remove and resubmit. So that means that if your feedback to them is, we think this is okay, but can you improve on this, they can then remove and resubmit an approved file, and you can then provide additional feedback. And so now you can see the additional functionality that they also have here is that they can respond to the feedback. So they can respond to the feedback and say, thanks, that was helpful, and provide a question, and they can now submit this response to you. Then refresh the page. And you can now see that their feedback response is recorded here. So thanks, that was helpful. It provides the date and time the response was given. And now if you go back to the coach view, in the coach dashboard, you can now see that both, if you go to Chris, you can see that both feedback has been given, the status is still submitted, and there's an open response, which means that you haven't responded or closed the responses for that. So going back to the review page and just refreshing so it's updated. We can now see that there's been a feedback response, and you can delete the feedback response or you can reply to it. We've also added the functionality to add a voice note, which I'm going to talk about now. So in the initial feedback, you could have left the first feedback empty, but just added a voice note. And this is important because the voice note is, you need to record it on Clip It. So you can click here just to go to Clip It. I've already opened it in a new window. And this is Clip It. And to upload a clip, I'll create a user for you guys, but you would log in as your user and then you just click upload clip, and it's as simple as recording. And then once it's recorded, I've got a pre-recorded clip, which is in my profile, which I'm going to add the link to. And so here's the one I've added. It's just a random thing, and all you need to do is copy. I'm just going to copy the link, go back to the review page, paste in the audio, and click save. I won't respond yet because I just want to show the functionality of the voice note. So all I do is I paste the link to the voice note, and you'll see here, even in the feedback review page, it gives you a little embedded thing so you can listen to your voice note. And in the entrepreneur view, they will also see that they have audio feedback. So there's the feedback for you, there's the written feedback, and there's audio feedback, and they can play the feedback to them and also respond to the audio feedback. So now I'm just going to respond to their feedback and say, great, listen to the voice note. Save activity, review. And you can see there, okay, it's a bit confusing because I'm using the same name, but on the entrepreneur's side, they will see that they have an open response in their activity page, and on their side you can then see that it's tagged as coach. So obviously the names would be different, but it also tags it as coach. So it's super helpful for the entrepreneurs to see what the coach has said and what they have said, and it gives a timestamp and they can respond again. But now you might feel that the activity is complete. Well, they're going to respond and say great, and they might ask you a whole bunch of new questions, and you want to close the response, which is one of the features you guys requested. So you want to actually stop them from responding again and again and again. So if you feel like the entrepreneur is responding too much, or you want to close the responses, you just click close responses on the activity review page, save the activity review. It'll refresh, and I'll refresh the entrepreneur view. You can see that there's the responses, and now comments are closed for this activity, so they can't respond anymore to the activity. The only thing left now is that we also haven't completed the activity, so it's still in submitted status. It shows as completed on their side, but if you want to prevent them from removing and resubmitting, it's almost like closing off the activity now. They've received all the response they can. You can just click activity complete at the top, save activity review, and the entrepreneur side. The activity is now complete, feedback given. They cannot remove and resubmit anymore. The feedback's still there, the feedback responses are closed, and this activity is now 100% complete on the entrepreneur side. There's no more actions to take. You can also obviously undo any of these changes. So if you wanted to let them resubmit, you'll just take off the activity complete. If you wanted to remove the feedback from visibility on their side, you just click remove feedback complete. You can reopen responses by unclicking close responses. You can change the voice note by copying in a new URL for clip it here. And you can also obviously also change things there and add responses. You can add responses indefinitely, but on the entrepreneur side, it's closed. And that is the new activity flow. We hope you are stoked with this, and it'll make a big difference in the second presentation. Ciao.